Let's look at some hands that we played over the week. My first two hands are going to be from a live game I played yesterday. This is the 3-5-10 game. And the background before we get to this hand is I got to the table, and the first thing that happened is there are two guys, young Asian guys, and they're talking. And they're talking and they're saying things about node locking and things like that. And I go, great. While they're playing. So the guy's in a hand and he's absolutely casually talking to the other guy. And it's like, this is not good. And they're both chip shuffling. So it's like, all right, there are two people here who, if they're not better than me, they are at least highly competent. They know, they know what they're doing. They've had the experience. I look around the table, they're all young Asian guys. And another guy is also chip shuffling. And the only thing that I see him do is his chip shuffle is not as smooth. I go, well, at
Well,
least he's been here for as many hours.
I I have a rule: never ever chip shuffle.
Yeah.
Never ever ever chip shuffle,
Yeah.
because I can tell someone's like
Hmm.
you know makes their living at a table by how smooth their shuffle is.
Yeah.
Like I've
Derek.
had instances where someone bet into me and then they shuffled really smooth.
Yeah, exactly. Derek, you're a little tight on your mic. Either turn your mic down a little bit or just move back from it a little
Oh, am
bit.
I over? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn down.
Yeah, either way. Yeah, it's just distorting. All right.
Okay, how's
So
that?
yeah, that is perfect. Okay, so this is going on. I look around the table and I go, I don't see anybody here who's going to be who is obviously going to be contributing the money. There's another table, and I look over at that, and it doesn't look much better, but it looks a little better. And I'm considering going and asking for a table change pretty soon. I mean, I'm going to do a couple rounds to see how people actually play, but I'm already uncomfortable. Um, Within the hands that I sit down at, there's two hands that are all in already. Um, and chips are moving around a lot. And I have my first hand that I get to play is Queen Queen. And it's going to be a 3-bet pot. I'm not going to put it out here. It's a 3-bet pot. Um, and the flop comes down with a king, and I check out of position and he bets, and I check the turn and he bets, and on the river he goes all in. It was a flush draw, and the flush draw comes in on the river. It's diamonds, and I have the queen of diamonds, and I am not happy at all. And I think for a while, and I take my time and go through.
Oh, we lost you, Scotty.
I'm fine. And I end up calling because I have the queen of diamonds, because of our training. And the thought is a little bit, if he had the king, would he be a little nervous about the diamond coming in with my check calls? Maybe. If he had the diamonds, do I think he bets the order that he bet the other two things? Maybe. But the two maybes, and it's like, am I folding 100%? No. So I call, he's bluffing with ace queen. And,
Nice.
and it's a $1,500 pot. Okay.
Nice start.
Right. So that's the beginning, and my heart is racing. And the
Yeah.
next hand, I'm in against one of the two skilled guys. He raises. I'm out of position with king queen suited in the small blind. I raised the king queen suited. I 3-bet the king queen suited. He 4-bets me. I think for a while. All of a sudden, my mind goes blank about, does king queen suited call here or not? And I can't remember. I
I know
literally,
that feeling.
you know, and I go, I think it got SF, and I folded it.
I think
Uh,
it's a fold, isn't it?
it mixes in the in the six hand.
Where was his position? You didn't say where he was.
He was like hijack.
Yeah, I think that's a fold then.
It fold in the 9 game. It mixes in the 6 game. It folds, and I folded it, and I'm fine with it. But my adrenaline is flying at this point. I mean, my blood pressure is so high, and I'm not comfortable. I also haven't been in a cash game live for 3 weeks or so. I've been gone. I've been playing only online. So I'm back to that thing where I'm just jangling I'm hating every minute I'm there with it. And that's the background that leads to these next hands. So I'm like that. I'm slowly calming down. The game has gone on. A few people have limped. It's like, okay, I'm better than some of the people here. One of the guys leaves and another guy comes in. One of the Asians, who could have been good was not. Not the two guys talking. The two guys talking stayed good. The best of them, he left to play a bigger game. He left to play when a seat opened up, he went to play the 5, 10, 20. And I was happy to see him leave. And now it's like, okay. And that's when this hand comes up. And so that's my background, what's going on. So 9-8.
When the wind comes sweeping down the plate.
Yes. Yes. Oh, it's OMC where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. Yes. The level of old man coffee that I do on this hand is shocking. So folds around. Reasonable player raises to 40, which is the bigger size in this game. The opening sizes in this game are 25, 30, 35, and 40 that people do. It's rare to see an open of 45. And when they raise over a limper, they don't raise big enough. They still raise to 30, except for me. And when they raise over a limper out of position, they definitely don't raise big enough.
So you're in the straddle, right? So
I'm in the
his
straddle.
RFI is to 40.
40 gets a call, fold. And against the 30, I was going to absolutely call. And against the 40, I decided to call.
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, I was mixing folds here. I was not going to 4-bet it. I was not going to 3-bet it and squeeze ever here. Okay. So good flop for me.
Yeah.
Out of position. Check. All right. I'm fine. I often have the best hand here. Even better. So I bet 60 into the pot. He calls, not trivially. He goes through a little thought. Not much, a little bit. Fold there. Hit is what would be the nuts here.
Okay.
What's everybody else doing here?
He never has 8 jack here. Or 9 jack here. I don't put him on 9. I think he has 9
Right.
jack.
Okay.
No one
Is he
who has
one of the
9 jack has
aggressive-
jack bet. So I think I want to get as much money as possible here.
All right. What size do you want to bet, Derek? Pot's 248 and he's got 350 left.
I'm gonna bet 349.
Okay, good enough. I think that he never has a hand that can call that as played. But
So
that's fine.
let's do some hand ranging here.
Okay.
So checked around. It's a range check in theory.
Mhm.
And the size you used on turn as a percentage of pot was like a
Hold on a
B50.
second. I'm gonna make I believe I now think there's a chance that because he didn't check in the sandwich. He checked, he was the last to act. So I wrote this hand down wrong. The other player is in the small blind. He's not on
Okay.
the blind, which is
Okay.
also why it's easier for me to call. The other player is in the small blind. This is a correction. Because I'm now remembering that he specifically was the last to act on the first round. Otherwise, I would have less confidence that he has no tens.
Yeah, so he should bet more when he's last to act on flop, but he chose to check.
He chose to
Which is
check.
fine on this texture. Can we
Yeah.
go back to turn and just look at what sizing was?
Yes. I
So
bet half.
you bet half pot. Okay, so he calls after some deliberation.
Yeah.
Small blind gets out of the way.
Small one gets out of the way.
Okay, so SPR is like a 1.3 or something.
Mhm.
And yeah, so you've got essentially you got the nut. Well, you got the second nuts, but it's hard for him to have Jack 9 here.
Mhm.
So you think he's capped, so let's range him. Let's think about what he has here. So what's he checking? So he's checking some shitty 10x. We're blocking 8, but he might have like, what are his common calls here? His common calls are like a flush draw. A common call would be some kind of 8x, like an ace, king, ace, eight suited. He's
Mhm.
gonna have some 7-8, as Dean points out. Yeah, he's right. It's hard to range him here because range, hands are still pretty wide. Because we
Yeah.
checked around, we beat 50, he called. I would argue you have the best hand here all the time.
I think
98%.
best hand here 95% of the time.
Yeah, so then the purpose of ranging him here is to understand how we want to extract value.
Yes.
So, I mean, the obvious gut answer is that we induce with a block bet on a board that looks scary. That's the obvious answer.
Okay.
So block bet's definitely, I think block bet are B75. I think I
Okay.
like block bet here.
Okay. So the word that I operated on was to induce.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
checked. I checked to induce.
I think that's fine.
He bets 100, and now the obvious answer is to jam because he can't have a 9 because he doesn't have 9 jack, right?
You shouldn't have done.
And I didn't. I just called.
What?
I know. This is what I'm telling you. This is why I gave you the background of what happened coming into this game, of why I mentioned the other two hands, of how jangly I was, because you guys know I only called, and my thought was, I said, I have the best hand here all the time, and my read is he doesn't have anything that can call a jam, except for the very rare time that he chose to realize his equity with the jack 9. That he
I-
checked behind on the flop with the jack 9.
I lose
And
all my money. I lose if he
Right.
has a jack 9 here. So I just shove
No,
it.
I'm fine with losing all your money, Derek, to the jack 9. The question is, what does he have to call you? What do you make money from? Because it's only good to lose all your money with the jack 9 if you're going to get called by the ace 10 and the 7-8 and these other hands. And I decided,
Okay.
and I decided he didn't have any of those.
He has 2% sets.
Yeah,
he
I
could have,
decided he
like-
didn't. I decided he didn't have any of those that he played that way. And I didn't think of the most logical one, which was that he had that he could have a set of 7s here. Because I don't think he has a set of
7,
10s,
set of
8s.
5, set of
I don't think he
8.
has 10s, 8s. I don't think he has any of those. I think every one of those raises my turn.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe part of the reason you called is because you wanted to see his combo?
Nope.
Do you
Nope.
think, so your argument for calling was that he doesn't have anything, he doesn't have any worse that can call a shove.
I checked to induce. Yeah, my belief was that the only raise I was going to do was a shove. I really thought that this 100, this sounds crazy. I pictured this 100 as the most polarized bet it could be. This was a pure bluff or jack 9 or a 9. Could be a 9, and I don't care about 9s.
You
Right?
could even click it back for another 100.
I could do that. He folds all the bluffs. He raises the jack 9. I don't fold my 9.
Click
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah.
Click
Yeah,
it.
so
Like
but-
if you feel that way, then you can just click it back and then.
Right. And I want to make one thing clear. I don't say that what I thought was the right way to think. I'm telling you what I thought in the moment.
Yeah,
And I absolutely watched myself think, I watched myself think this and go, what am I doing that I'm not raising here?
Well, why not
What
just
is it?
click it back to 200?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I actually do think though that the click back to 200, I think might be the worst of the good ideas. I don't think it's a bad idea. And it's only this, Derek, which is the hands that call the click back because of, remember how much money he has left. The hands that call the click back, I think, call the jam. He's only got 250 after this.
yeah.
So I think this is true. This may not be true. If he's in the mood to call a raise, I think he calls the full raise. Two pair plus, right?
That's a pretty wide call on turn. To your B50.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a blunder.
I mean,
But
and
a
also
king
at this
queen-
point, he's got someone who's acting behind, right? The small blind's still in the pot.
He does. Yep.
Yeah, he should, I would have folded turn. I think all of us
Yeah.
would have folded turn.
No,
Yeah.
I don't like his play at all on any of the
Nope.
streets.
No, we don't. Well, I like his play pre-flop.
Oh, pre-flop I'm fine, but like
Yeah.
flop and turn river,
Yeah.
I don't like it at all.
I don't mind his play on the flop, checking it back. I don't mind that. I don't, it's his turn, it's the turn play. But having said all that, looking at my play, and now I have to show down that I didn't raise this.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I know that feeling.
and I feel so old man coffee here.
Oh, you can exploit that.
Well, I do.
Like, I think that I look like an OMC.
You do.
Look like the OMC of OMCs. So
Yeah.
I think I exploit that because if I play like balls out aggressive and I look like an OMC, it's a huge advantage, I think.
So, in retrospect, what do you wish you had done? Shoved?
I feel just fine about the result.
Okay.
There's no more money to be made. I didn't lose a penny.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the correct play was to check jam.
Yeah,
think
I
it
agree.
was the right play. And I think most of the time it isn't needed. And I think that it is not 100% clear that my thought process was off, meaning that his bet of 100 here, he can't call a raise or he has me crushed.
I mean, the one argument for shoving two is that very rarely you'll get him off a chop.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't
Um,
consider getting him off a chop.
So, I mean, you're the
I don't
straddle,
think
you're
chop.
defending Jack nine.
I'm never getting off a chop for just another 250.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not getting.
rarely, I said, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not getting. If it were bigger, I could get him off a chop.
Yeah, I'd like your check though on river.
Yeah, just went for the full induce. All right. Next hand, same table. And by the way, I can feel my hand even shaking right now. I can feel the adrenaline coming back.
So let's talk a little bit about why you kind of got in a jumbled state, because I certainly been there. And, frankly, you're playing much higher stakes than I do.
Yeah.
But what is happening that you are kind of getting a little bit, for lack of a better term, out of sorts here?
So the stakes I'm playing are perfectly fine for me.
Yeah, yeah, you're comfortable with these stakes.
Totally comfortable with these stakes, but they are 10 times the stakes that I've been playing online. I'm playing 50 cent a dollar online.
Yeah.
And I've been playing 50 cent a dollar for 3 weeks. I've been out of town, so I've been on my computer at night playing, poker at these lower stakes. So I've gotten used to them. So now this feels like a lot of money, even though it's not. So
Yeah.
if I go back today after this and play, I don't expect to be as tense. But
So do you think it's based on the stakes or just the mood you're in, or the lineup at the table?
The stakes, the lineup of the stakes in the lineup at the table is what I'm feeling. And by the after playing 4 hours, everything was normal and I was feeling just fine at the table.
Okay.
But I also was not particularly, I also left, at 10 p.m. and didn't stay longer. Even though I had nothing to do at home, my wife's out of town. So there was no reason, I have no other life because I wasn't having fun. I thought about it and I went, there's still some money here. I'm up, but I actually would rather be home. And so I don't need to play poker.
How did you see his hand? Did he just flip it over, or did you say, show your hand, or?
No. I said, I call. He flipped his hand.
The aggressor needs to show first.
No, I know, but some people will be like, oh,
I see.
I was
No,
bluffing.
and had he said you were good, I would not have made him show his hand. I would not.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious how you
I would have
did
said,
that.
yep, I'm good. He just flipped it over instantly.
Yeah, good.
I mean, just a quick question. You don't really have to show your hand. I mean, you can just muck it, right?
You can. You shouldn't.
Yeah, or the king high, you shouldn't for sure.
Yeah, just you're not giving away any great information. All right. So that's what it was. It was higher stakes than I was used to, although not higher stakes than I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Being back at the live table having been gone for a while. And the fact that I went, these guys are good. I don't see what's bad here. And later I saw what was bad. Okay.
Hey, Scott, you said you play online. What site do you play on?
Say that again, Gio. Jeff?
What site do you play on? You said you were playing 50 cents $1. What site do you play on?
Oh, I play on Ignition 50 cent a dollar to get all the heads up hands face up hands that we study. So I play on Ignition, only on Ignition because of the face up hands. I just love that.
You don't play on ACR?
Nope, not at all.
Right.
And at one point, we had gotten the advice from Coach Brad Wilson to not play cash on ACR. And he did not say why, but we suspect it was there are either too many botnets or too many good players. And we don't know why, but he gave us that advice and I said, okay. All right. So
You were one of his horse?
no, I was not a horse under any circumstance. No, at one point Brad was doing some work with poker coaching. He was giving some cash game seminars. I don't know if he still is.
No, he's not.
I thought he wasn't. And in that, it came up where he kind of advised against ACR cash. And he said ACR tournaments were fine. And I don't know, again, I don't know why, and I don't know if it's still true. I asked him why, and he said, because I'm your coach and I'm giving you advice. And that's when I decided he was.
I've heard that ACR is basically a scam.
Yeah, could be.
That's what I've heard. So
All right, we like this hand. So is this kind of the default RFI size?
Yes. I'm doing 30. I'm doing 30 at this game, not 25.
Okay.
I'm doing
most of the tables going to 30 when they open.
30 and 40
Okay.
are their opens. The one guy who was doing 25 was the guy who left. And I don't even know if he was doing it on every hand. We didn't have enough hands to see whether he was splitting his range before he left. But 30 is I do 25 online and I do 30 here because 25 does not ever get you heads up. All right. So here we go. We got a call. We got 3 players like this.
You have 4 players, right?
4 players, right? Yeah, three opponents like this, 1 in position.
Okay.
Pocket kings. We have the best hand now. All right.
Ah,
A flop that's both good and bad.
interesting.
Check. If I had 2 players to play after me, I would consider checking this and letting the stab. But I chose not to against this guy. I chose to do the bet instead. So
Can you talk about why?
It's so wet. I don't mind seeing an ace. I don't mind seeing a 9, of course. I hate a diamond. I hate a 10. I hate a jack. I hate a queen. And I don't even love a king. That's
So,
why.
so this bet is kind of based on equity denial, and it's also based on the fact that you're expecting button to spew a lot.
I'm not confident that Button is going to bet into 3 players. He's in here with a lot of garbage. He has a very wide range here.
Okay.
That's what I know. He's been in a lot of hands. He is by this time, he is one of the younger guys who's not a good player.
Okay.
He's sitting next to the guys who were good players. So I have identified that. I'm not afraid of him, but it was just with 3 players here. I often have the best hand now, equity denial. So I'm betting for value.
Mhm.
I'm betting legitimately for value, and I am perfectly fine with folds.
And also another way to look at this is that you can call any raise within reason.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I can call a raise.
Yeah.
Right. So there we go.
Can you mute Turo, please?
Yeah, I'll mute Tura. There you go. Oh, he just muted himself, and then I hit
Okay.
unmute, which I didn't mean to. So don't unmute yourself. Right. Standard 1/3 bet into a multi-way pot from late position, just not late position. This is
2 callers.
yeah, 2 callers. It's perfectly
You
fine.
got on a draw heavy board. We
Yeah,
don't
draw
like
heavy
that
board.
card.
Okay. So the 7 comes, I get a check. I haven't been raised. I think I usually have the best hand still. Because I wasn't raised. I usually have the best hand here. The board's got draw heavier. The standard size here is pot size to continue the bet. But on this board, I just didn't have the confidence for pot size. I didn't think I was being slow played a straight, but Jack 10. I thought Jack 10 might not raise.
I like checking here a lot.
Checking here is good. I went with half pot instead of full pot because I was trying to decide between check and bet full pot.
Okay.
So my compromise was half pot. That might be bad thinking, but it is what I did.
Well, the
Okay.
stacks are small enough that if they shove 120 in, they don't have much left, right? They get
Well,
a half
the
pot- a bet, right?
raw number of dollars they have is on the right.
Yeah.
But he's fully,
This spot is deep. This guy's deep.
yeah, they're playing,
He's got $1,400 left.
Okay, so the number on the left is what?
Big
Is
blind.
is
blinds.
big blinds times 2
Okay.
because of the straddle game. So this is the big blind times 2. All right. So he calls, the other guy folds. That's fine. River does not bring in anything that matters to me. And here is, let's see the name of it. So what did I do?
uh-oh. So you checked.
I checked.
I check here too. It's a
Good.
great bluff catching card.
He bet 320.
And which, yeah, we pay him.
Yeah, we just call instantly. And he shows ace queen.
Yeah.
And the table has watched this, and there's a little gasp at the table about my hand. That I play it this way. So
I think
these,
you played it fine.
go on, Larry.
I think you played it fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with this play, but this one in combined with the other one, and these are the only hands I've shown down. And if you look at my play in both of them, the level of old man coffee. So for the rest of the time, I did not show down, for the rest of the hours I played, I did not show down a hand. Almost all of my hands were, they either limped to me and I raised pocket jacks the proper amount from out of position and everyone folded, or someone raised and 3 people called and I raised pocket jacks to the right amount and everyone folded. That was the rest of the night for me. Fold, 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 raise big, get folded to.
So you
So-
had the OMC aura around you, and you just like crushed it.
Crushed it with pocket, but I crushed it with good hands. I did not go out on a limb on anything. I didn't start doing it with the 9-8 suited.
I had an interesting thing where like I start bluffing and the bluffs work for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then they stop working.
Yes.
And they get called down.
That's what happens. All right. Who else has
So
hand?
did you end up, this sounds like it was a very good session.
I won, what did I win? $2,800, 3,000, something like that.
So you doubled your stack.
No, tripled.
Yeah.
Tripled.
That's a good
Um,
session.
Yeah, it was a good session because the 2 bluffs that I caught combined with the fact that all the big pots that I raised with, I took them all down pre-flop. And then and then the other 2 pots that I bluffed all got through,
Nice.
bluffed a guy off queens or a 10 when the ace came.
So maybe you should be nervous and jangly on adrenaline more often.
Yeah, maybe. All right. But anyway, I'm going to stop sharing and let Mike share next.
Do you guys mind if I show a hand real quick? Because I've got to go really soon. You
Okay,
mind,
go.
Mike?
No, that's fine.
Thanks, man. And also, I got a live hand, so yeah, I got to go in like just a couple
Right.
minutes. So this is a hand where I did not play as well as Scotty. So this is very end of the night. This is a wild player in button, very wide range. He does bluff often. And I've had a good night. So I open. This is kind of I'm opening there because I'm trying to discourage going to multi-way. And it's very hard to do in this game because everybody wants to see a flop. So I've increased my RFI size to 10. And we get a flat. And we get a fold, and we get a fold, and we're heads up against button. So we get quite a good flop. What are you guys doing here?
Bet. Pot.
What, just describe one thing about the wild player, Jesse James.
Yeah.
When you say wild, is he a player that we can get a check raise in almost all the time and calls it? That's the only question.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I wish I had thought about that. I think this would have been a great check raise spot. I didn't do it. This would have been a great check raise spot. Especially when you see his combo. So I chose to bet because I think he's calling wide. I think he doesn't like to fold. So I bet small. He calls.
Mhm.
We get the flush come in. Now this is
Got
where the hand goes interesting. What are you guys doing here?
I think it's a good time to go into check call mode.
Yep.
Agreed.
Let do.
So I check.
Yep.
He's got 175 behind,
Mhm.
and he puts in. He puts a 2x pot betting.
Yuck.
Yeah,
Oh, he's got 95 left.
he's got 95 behind. So really, all I got is I've got. I think I have two. I mean, 95 behind. We're never folding this combo. Maybe if a fourth heart comes, we could fold.
Yeah.
But what are you guys thinking here?
I don't
James?
think, this doesn't feel like a flush to me. I'm sorry, Mike, you were talking.
Oh, I was just saying this seems like a really great jam. Just get it in. He'll call with all of his flush draws and top pair and everything.
Yeah, you're right. That's the right way to play this. This is on the OMC theme. So, I got a little speech play in here. I got a little aggro with him. I said, I know Jesse pretty well. It's like, Jesse, why are your cheeks getting red?
This is a live hand.
This is live.
Okay, gotcha.
I was like, Jesse, why are your cheeks getting red? Why are you blushing, dude? What's going on? And he kind of got a little upset. And he said, what are you gonna do? You gonna call or are you gonna fold? And so I hemmed and hawed, and I have a problem when I'm up this much at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem wanting to protect my stack. This is actually this is my announced last orbit.
Right.
And so I said to him, no, this is another tell. So the two tells are, he did this very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He made this bet very quickly without putting a lot of thought in.
That's a tell.
Anybody who's deciding to bet big with a flush here, and this doesn't look like, I said to him, this does not look like a flush. This looks like you're trying to get me off the hand. And we went, and then the other speech play happened, and then I said to him, will you show if I fold? And his answer very quickly was yes. That's another tell.
Oh, I
Anybody
didn't-
who's very excited to say yes when you ask them that question, and you can detect it, that's another indicator of a bluff. So, the other way to look at this is, what are we calling with? So I'm shoving here pure with a heart. I am going to shove here with any set. So pot odds he's offering us are like 40%, right? So we have we're 8% to boat up here if he does have a flush, but we're 20% to boat up if we have a set.
Mhm.
So I think I'm calling all sets. I'm calling any two pair with the heart. And we've got just a pure bluff catcher here. And I make a OMC fold, which is a mistake. This is a blunder I made. This is why I'm bringing it to the table, so I can embarrass myself and hopefully not do this again.
Larry.
Exactly. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Reprimand me so I don't do this again. So what else was I going to say? Can we agree? Are there any calls here, or is this just a shove or a fold?
You can call instead. You can call and let him bluff again. Because remember, he folds. Imagine all the stuff, all the stuff that is drawing dead against you that he folds.
Yeah. So speaking of drawing dead, he showed he turned his 10, very wide player.
Mhm.
This is another indicator. He showed his 10 that she called,
Right.
which he turned to a bluff.
But he's
Very-
almost dead with. He's not drawing dead, but he's almost drawing dead with you.
Yeah.
And then of course he wins on a heart. He gets to win on a heart if he has the heart to bluff again.
Yeah, he didn't have any. Yeah, if the fourth heart comes.
Fourth
So
heart.
this is a big blunder.
right.
Um,
I didn't mean if he had a heart in his hand. I meant if he had the cojones to bluff again on a heart.
oh, on
That's
a,
what I
on a
meant.
fourth heart.
Yeah, fourth heart comes. Will he bluff you off your hand? He'll succeed.
So I think obviously, I think the answer when we see this bet, it's just too big. It just doesn't make any sense.
And it's too fast.
And
Big
it's
and
too fast. And it's just street poker. It's like I check, you're weak, I'm gonna shove.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you in an uncomfortable spot.
Right. And I
So-
don't know. I was just saying, I don't know if the if I fold, will you show? I don't know about that tell. I have no experience with whether that is a tell of weakness or strength when he says yes. But the speed of the bet is a tell.
The speed of this bet is definitely a tell. I mean, it was just like 10 seconds. Here's.
Yeah.
He just essentially grabbed, like, he had like two stacks. One was like 95, one was 100. He just grabbed the smaller stack of 80 and just shoved it and just put it over the line.
Yeah. And Bogdan says Bogdan would have jammed after that bet. Good for you. Dean says on the ace on the river, he gets to win.
Oh, that's a good point. So,
Quick answer. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I fucked that one up.
All right. So
And-
we're gonna talk about you're fucking that one up. Because this is gonna be let's talk about mental game for a second.
Sure.
So why did you say to him that doesn't feel like a flush? Why are you sharing your thought process with him? I know why you share it with us. Why were you sharing it with him?
Mostly because I'm a pretty verbal person, like just in the thought process, which is not ideal for poker.
Mhm.
And, that's a good question. And my initial thought was, I mean, my instinct is I'm gonna go into a speech pay mode. And so I'm gonna tell him what I'm thinking and see how he reacts. But that may
Oh.
not be the best choice.
Okay, but you have a reason. Okay. Excellent. All right. So let me talk to you about speech play for a second.
Sure.
This is observations. This is not based on experience because I don't do any speech play at all.
Okay.
So I'm watching, this is Mark Goon's, I'm getting this from watching Mark Goon's speech play.
Yeah.
Mark Goons uses his speech play to put the other person in a position to try to give him information. So Mark Goon's question here, when he raises, you go, what do you have?
Yeah, you're right. Good point. Very good point.
You're giving, your speech play is indicating things about your hand, trying to see how he reacts to what you say.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would be as if you took your cards, flipped them over, and looked for a reaction from him.
Yes, that's precisely what I'm doing.
Which is a strategy. If you're allowed to do it, is a legitimate strategy. You turn over your cards and you see what he said. You see what registers on his face. But that's what you're doing. You're giving away information to see how he responds to information. So why don't you start practicing your speech play if you're going to do it with the uncomfortable question to him that he's not going to answer. But why don't you do that? That gives away no information about you.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think you have a
What do
very
you
good point.
have? What do you have? Why so big? And by the way, I don't even like why so big because why so big gives away some information about your thought process.
Yes.
I really like Mark Goons if you're going to do it. What do you have?
Yeah, which initiates conversation, but does not convey anything about where you are
Um,
in your range.
right. If you tell people what you're thinking about how you play, they can use it on you later. You remember the very famous Daniel Negreanu, Freddie Deeb hand from back in the day, where Freddie Deeb asks Daniel, why so small?
I don't.
So it's from the World Series of Poker back when it was the only televised poker, so we all got to see it. Daniel bets small. Freddie says, either why, actually, Freddie says, I wish you had bet bigger. And folds and folds. And Daniel makes the note of saying my next bluff needs to be small because he thinks small is trying to get called.
Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the quote, the why so small was Phil Hellmuth saying to Jen Harmon, he goes, why so small, Jen? Trying to get, in a speech play. But both those, and it's fine for these guys because they know each other and what they're thinking, but you're playing against people who don't know anything about your level of thought. And if you say, why did you bet so big? You've now at least communicated the information that you are looking at bet sizes and stuff like that, and letting other people know that they can try to manipulate you based on bet sizes. Now, that's not
valid. That's a good point.
not a lot of information because, of course, they can manipulate you based on bet sizes. But why give them even that hook? In the same way, saying, why so fast tells them that you're paying attention to it. Don't tell them what you're paying attention to.
I agree. You're right.
Yeah. So that's my
So
suggestion.
the point is elicit information, however, do not divulge information.
Yeah, if you can. See, yeah, if you're going to do it, I mean, just start with that and let's see how it feels.
So maybe the right. Geez, what do you have here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's fine. Whatever mode you want to do it in. Just think about the speech play. Again, we go back to the thing we talked about weeks ago, which is try to do this distinction. And I'm talking to myself and not just you here. That's why I'm saying so many words, because I'm trying to teach myself to do this also.
Mm-hmm.
Is don't look for your poker friends at the poker table. Look for your poker friends in your poker study group.
Yeah, well put.
And you're going to get all of what you want, all the thinking, all the people who know how smart you are, all the people who can correct your thoughts, like that. And I blew this yesterday. I want to point out to the guy who was sitting next to me, who did the ace queen bluff. When I showed the jack nine, later in the day, I said, how bad do you think that? Bad do you think it was that I didn't raise that nine there? And it was because I wanted to talk about the hand. It wasn't because I wanted to get his thinking. It was I wanted poker friendship and talk about the hand and reassurance and all those things.
Yeah.
Or I wanted correction. I wanted to go through the thing of yeah, you really need to raise there because because of this, that, and the other thing. I wanted to do that. And not because I wanted to know how he thinks in poker. It was I wanted this, what we're doing now. Don't get that at the table. Get that here. We do enough hours of that. So I'm saying that to you and to me.
Good point.
Right. Then the other one is this. And I'm saying this to both of us, which is you knew this fold was a mistake at the time, right?
Yeah, I think it
Yep.
did.
You had these reasons. And we know why you did it, because you wanted to protect your winnings and all like that. So you're sitting there at the table and you're seeing your stack and you're seeing all that experience of having to go home. You can go home with this number in your book, or yes, skate, Larry folded. And you have to put it in your book, or maybe you'll even be down. You were up and you'll be down after this and all that. That's what's going through your head and thing. So I want to put something else in your head. Tomorrow, you're going to have to come to poker group and you're going to have to say what you did. And you're going to have to tell us why you didn't do what you knew was right. And I want
Yeah,
that.
I do think it's a mistake, especially against this player class. It was an error that was driven by nittiness
Yeah.
and driven by being very happy with tripling my stack on the night, more than tripling my stack on the night,
Mhm.
and not wanting to see it go away in the last orbit. That's
Right.
all a mistake. It's all
Yep.
an error.
It's all one big game. You know all the reasons. It's all one big game. That
It's all one long session. Yeah.
session. And for the one hand of mine with the queens, the queen of diamonds, when I looked at it, I said, I would have been proud to come to you guys and say, and I called them because I had the queen of diamonds. I would have folded without the queen of diamonds.
Yeah. That's the right way to do it.
And when I did the call back to me, because I like to talk about me, when I did the call with that hand, and there was shock at the table that I did it, like, oh my God, that you would make that call there. I knew the reasons I did it was the queen of diamonds, and with it, because something else happened with him, and I said to him, I think you played that great. that was so hard. You really put me in the box. It was really hard. And that was honest, but I was also trying, I was doing that for a poker reason. Right? You know, I had a poker reason to say this, but I almost
Okay.
said to him, and I wanted to say it. I said the words, I mean, if I don't have the queen of diamonds, I fold and it would have worked. So most of the time that works. And that level, I knew not to say. Why am I telling him anything about that I'm looking at my suits and what blocks what?
I see your point. Yeah.
The people at the table who know. The people at the table who don't know, I shouldn't teach. The people at the table who know, I shouldn't tell them that I also know.
Yeah. I
And
mean, we're
I'm
both verbal people who like to have conversations about poker. So yeah, it requires discipline to keep your mouth shut.
and I managed to not say it because I knew I get to say it to you guys. So that's what I'm saying to you.
Gotcha.
Come here and say those same things. He did this timing, and then do as much as we can. Don't do it, do what you think is right in poker. Make the move that if you know better, do it. Say, I know how to play this better. And now execute what you know is better. If you know it's a check raise, take the check raise. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a speech. Anybody else want to do a speech? And chastise Larry before he leaves?
Oh, good. I'm gonna
All
take that as a no.
Okay. All right. All right. Mike, hands.
I so I've got the usual stuff kind of just lined up from a previous session. May or may not be interesting. These are just marked for whatever reason. They kind of come in chronological order. So here we go. See if they spark anything. So first one here, we get a 5x open. This is the very first hand at the table. So no information whatsoever. This is Ignition NL 100, and we're here. I don't know. This feels like a pretty easy fold.
It's okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I know probably, charts or whatever, it's probably fine.
No, it's a fast fold. Yeah, easy fold. Shove it,
Okay.
throw it away.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Of course, going back and we look and we see, it's this, but
He's going to spew later.
yeah, no, I know. Yeah, but like without knowing anything, I was torn between three betting and folding, and I chose fold. I didn't know if anyone else would just be like, oh no, let's three bet this. And
No, easy fold. Easy fold. You did the right
So
thing.
here's what we find once we know that they're segmenting their ranges, because for all we know, 5 is his standard open, right? We haven't
right,
found
for all we know, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, right. Once we find out that they're segmenting their range and their VPIPs are not 90, their VPIPs is 30 and they're segmenting their range. That range is filled with pocket jacks, pocket tens, and ace king, their higher range. The hands they don't want to play post flop. And ace jack does terrible against those.
Yep. One thing I do is I always make a note. Anybody that just kind of looks like they're making non-standard raises, I always note like their position and the size and whether I was able to see it, like if they show it down or not. But I always make a note, like so, like this guy immediately made a note, like 5x cutoff question mark.
Yep.
And then later on, I'll see if he keeps doing 5x or if he does 2.5 or 2 or whatever.
Yep, exactly. That's my first note that I put in on people on Ignition. Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. So queen nine button, boom, flat, big blind. Just so we know, not a lot of hands, just 12 hands at this table with this particular person. So nothing of note. Check. Gonna default c-bet here to the population mostly. This particular hand probably is just, I mean, if I do c-bet, I'm probably over c-betting. There's just nothing going on other than just hoping to c-bet and get a fold.
Yeah.
So I did check here.
Terrible. And if he is a thinking player, we don't know if he is or isn't. And he is at NL 100, so there are some. This is a terrible flop for your range. So
we go to the flop and we get we go to the turn. It's we turn an open ender here. They go pot size. Here's where I was like, okay, I don't know. This probably should be a fold. What do you think? In position?
this is such
Can we realize?
This is such an easy call to 3 big blinds.
Yeah.
I think you still call. You guys have enough. You have enough depth. he makes this bet sometimes as a one and done. And you can get there on the river and you can steal it on the river. And he's making the pot big enough that your steal is both worth it and will have some meat.
Yeah, I figured being in position, we can realize some of that, right? Whereas if we were out of position, we just
No,
fold.
out of position, you can't.
Okay, so yeah, pretty much kind of the similar thought process between you and me. Anybody else say no, just fold it, or anything else? Disagree? So we get there. They go 3/4. Um, Size? Do we just call?
All right.
It's
Raise.
We mostly raise. We just look here and go, how much does 9 jack make sense? Three quarters at this stack depth. And what can he call you with? He can call you, he has an 8. This is the my hand problem. Except in position.
He bet big on the 7. Right?
He
Yeah,
did.
he went pot on the turn.
Hmm.
And if we
don't think-
raise,
I don't
do
think
we
we wanna
fold to a
flush draw.
jam?
Yeah, okay. So there's your answer. If you're not folding, if you're not folding to a jam, just call. If you're folding to a jam, raise.
But then are we missing value?
Yes. There is no answer that gives you all the good things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a choice of missing value or overvalue, or you can miss value or overvalue your hand. And the line in the middle is to raise. Yeah, if you raise and fold to a jam, raise and don't fold. His size is, okay, so now I'm going to default to it this way. His size is polarized. Okay, so you raised, great. And you raised an amount where you're going to get 19 more. So basically you went just under 2x. Okay.
Almost 3x.
Yeah. I mean, twice his bet.
Yeah, just under 3x.
Just under 3x. So that's enough money to be a profit when you reopen it for the few times that he jams on you.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
It was just a split pot. So
Yeah, okay. Yep.
yeah, that's why I was mostly concerned about the turn and the river.
Mhm.
So easy enough. No arguments there.
Were you folding? Well, the question, were you going to fold to a jam? Had you decided?
You know, at the time I don't remember if I thought that or not. I don't remember. I can't honestly say like I thought that. I don't know. Maybe I did. I kind of feel like if just kind of replaying this in my mind right now that I probably was going to raise and call,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Hey.
it was a little bit more interesting.
Solver.
What's that?
Solver. Let's do the solver on that hand.
Oh, run it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we got? We got it was
Button
big blind.
blind. Yeah.
But yeah, this one's doable.
Let's go.
And it was, let's do this. I'll just go to there. 8 6 of clubs, 2 of hearts. 8 6 of clubs, 2 of hearts. So many things here. 8 6 of clubs, 2 of hearts.
I learned that from
Big
you.
blind. I'm thinking they get donks. Yep, they do. Some small percentage of donking. Most people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our queen 9 of really just not much of anything does want to. Where's queen 9 off?
It wants to bet down and to the left. You're missing it. Go over, up.
Oh, I got zoom windows in front
Oh,
here. That's
okay.
what's gonna-
Zoom is blocking your queen nine. Yeah, it does a lot of betting.
So there's kind of a smattering of some do and some don't. So
Yeah.
it's obviously the clubs are better, right? The clubs are the
Bets with a
what we,
club.
what we really like.
Yeah.
So
And so you could just simplify this to say, check without a club, bet with a club, and you'll get pretty close to the right ratios, and it'll be super simple to
yeah,
execute.
probably. Yeah. Okay. So I think, when I looked at this hand, that was definitely part of the equation where I didn't bet,
Hmm.
not having a club there. And then so we get to the turn. It was the seven of spades. Check, check. Seven of spades. However, maybe betting against population just is more valuable than it shows in the solver. Okay,
Maybe.
so big blind seven. He goes pot. I'm not going to have this option. So let's take a look at B75 first. And our open ender queen nine is defending completely versus
There are
that
no
size.
folds. No folds.
No folds. Versus the B125 queen nine. Ooh, like pretty big difference. So somewhere in between there.
Odd, yeah.
And the club thing, it's kind of like, or we don't have a club, so it's kind of in the just fold it to that size. But to this B75, it's defend it. And was there any raising?
And it's the nine of clubs that it wants. The queen of clubs still folds, strangely enough.
No, no, no.
No, at the 125. At the
Oh,
120.
125, yeah. Yeah.
125 had that freak thing that it loves the nine of clubs and not the queen of clubs.
So this is pretty significant difference, right? We are open-ended and the B75 versus the 125
Yeah.
is quite a bit different.
Yeah.
So somewhere in between there lies the truth, right?
Yeah. E75, we raise if we have a club and we call if we don't, is the simplification, just straight up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the raise is ridiculous and the raise is big. And at 125, we fold unless we have the nine. The simplification is we fold without the nine of clubs. I mean, look at that queen of clubs. The queen of clubs never calls. It raises and folds.
So should we treat this pot size bet as like the B125 since population kind of like a pot size bet's kind of big, right? Like it sends a different message than B75 does.
Yeah.
How should we treat the river?
Um, let's do the 75 so we get there with our range. But to answer your question of how we should react to population relative to the solver, there isn't a relationship there because they're offering up pot odds that are halfway between the two, but they're not splitting their range the way the solver did between the 75 and the 125. So we
Yeah.
can't say that their 100 means this about their range.
Yeah, interesting.
Right.
All right, so we get there. They should be betting, which they do, and they go B75.
Mm-hmm.
So 77, B77. And now our queen, oh, look at pure call.
All right. That says a lot. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to run my jack now. I can't run my jack nine in the solver. It was a multi-way pot.
Yeah, okay, so pure calling here.
Okay.
No raising. And maybe, again, population versus solver, maybe raising does get value from hands that solver isn't going to give you that value.
Right.
Like sets, like population might call a set or something,
Sure.
maybe a two pair or something, whereas they're probably, I'm guessing, supposed to fold when we raise.
Yeah.
Made it a smaller size. Let's see if sets, well, it's not going to really have it. Yeah, it doesn't really have it. Can't really, they don't have sets now.
Because they just didn't play them that
Okay.
way.
All right. Yeah, that was a good exploration.
Yeah. Okay. Before you do your next hand, let's take
Yeah.
1 second here and take a look. There were a bunch of questions in the comments that we didn't deal with or not. All right, let's just see here if anything's. Okay, these are just comments on the hand. We had a question. You
I'll
asked,
just,
Mike, you asked why is pot size standard? Pot size was the standard that we saw in in our DTO study. And here's where the logic of it comes from, I believe. This is in multi-way. Why was pot size on the turn standard? So DTO was 1/3 on the flop, pot size on the flop, pot size on the river. Because multi-way, your hand has to be good enough for a pot size bet to be worth betting.
okay,
Make sense?
all right.
That's where it
So,
came
so
from.
standard in DTO world.
Standard in DTO world. When we do March multi-way madness, we're going to do it with Prometheus, and we may get new heuristics, but it's standard for me. It's what I learned, and I still didn't do it.
I changed my game to check or bet pot on the turn.
Okay. Yeah,
So
there you go.
I
Polar
find
up.
that it works great.
Yeah,
I'm really
polarize
happy
that.
with pot size
Yeah.
on the turn for the most part, especially if it's really deep.
Yeah.
Because it
Sure.
scares the shit out of most people.
Yep.
And we're talking specifically multi-way, Derek. Is that what you're talking about too?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do those
Yeah.
multi-way bluffs of pot size.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with, like, I changed my game to try pot size bet on the turn or check. So I'm
Right.
happy with that. I'll report back
Yeah.
if it changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you have bet pot? Would you have bet pot with a king on the 10 jack queen board and two callers? Or would you have checked that?
I think that I want to play a small pot there.
Yep. Yeah. I do think the hand could be good enough for pots. I mean, if I had a choice between pot size and checking, I would bet pot, but I gave myself the choice of half pot. Okay. Those are all the
I think it's
questions.
fine.
Yep. That's it. Way overthinking this. SPR says just stick it in. That's okay. That was on Larry's hand we talked about. That was Larry's hand of the 10-8. Okay. We're good.
Yeah.
We're caught up.
Okay, let's see, another quick one here, possibly. All right, so we get a donk. Oh, we get donked into us.
Yay.
All right, I think this might have been the same player as the Queen 9 hand, possibly. So with the Ace Queen of Hearts here, I think we just call, right? That one seems easy enough.
Yeah.
Or you could just pot it back, make it 8 big blinds.
Are you
Yeah,
He's so
isolating
small
yourself?
because
Is
I think he's just asking, is my jack any good? And you tell him, no, your jack's no good. I got a better jack.
Oh, he's never going to believe his jack's no good. He might believe his 8's no good. But on trip
You bet
jacks,
tiny,
Yeah.
right?
But
What does
but
that
his
mean?
trip jacks, he's not folding trip jacks.
So make it 8. Yeah, but does he have an 8 here?
Yeah,
Does he have a jack here?
Yeah, this is not an uncommon line. Now, this is not a board that you would expect it on from the big blind anyway. And if I have a jack, I'm just calling. I'm playing my range here. If I continue, I'm just calling
Yeah.
in position.
But I'm thinking, like, this is a tiny, tiny bet. So
B33.
sometimes these guys do this to check to see if their hand is any good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's not give him any info.
So you might tell them, hey, your hand's no good. Bet 8.
Okay.
You ever do
That's
that?
One other thing before you move on, Mike, with that option. The other thing they do is they do this to try to make the next card be cheap, right? And
Yeah,
this is
but
one
they
of
don't
those
have
rare
that.
cases.
They don't have that power.
Right. But I'm saying this is one of those rare cases where Mike would like the next card to be cheap.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They're kind of maybe doing me a favor.
Yeah. They say I'd like a cheap turn, and you go, me too. Maybe.
But I think we're just still ahead of the range. Sure, they could have a jack, they could have an 8, they could have 10-9 of diamonds, they could have any diamond, they could have I mean, their range consists in the big blind from a cutoff, a pretty wide range here.
Yep.
So when they say,
Enough says
I want
call.
to play a small pot, you say, I want to play a huge pot.
Mhm.
Shove it, make it to 8 or 12 or something like that.
Okay, sure.
That's also an option.
Yep. And then we've talked about Nuffle on this on these sessions quite a bit. And Nuffle is
Enough says call.
says we'll call everything too. And that's kind of what I pretty much stick to. It's been just ridiculously like successful.
Mhm.
So we did call. Certainly merit to raising and playing that strategy. Okay. They go small again. This is where it kind of gets like interesting, I think.
This is an easy call in poker coaching buckets. This is a disastrous call against a Brazilian.
Yeah, you're expecting a big bet on the river, aren't you?
If you only call right, because the Brazilian says to himself, you raise all jacks here. Therefore, you are capped at an 8 or a pair. And I can get all of that to fold on the river. So, but poker coaching says that this is that there are hands you beat and this is marginally made and you don't raise it.
Yeah, no, definitely not raised. That was definitely not in the
Yep.
cards at this point. This was a fold or a call.
Yeah.
And I chose call.
Mhm.
Because again, their donking range, I think with an 8, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
but we still have a lot of hands we beat and
Mhm.
or chop.
Mhm.
So this is fucking
This is
so
hilarious.
weird. So now are we
The interesting thing is all the hands that beat you before still beat you. There are just fewer of them,
yeah.
but they all still beat you. A jack still beats you and an 8 still beats you.
Yeah, and then we chop everything else.
Yeah.
Unless he has an overpair like queens or which highly unlikely.
Yeah.
So I folded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I
And
thought it was
he's of course bluffing, right?
no, he had it.
He has the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
He doesn't fit like the flop was not like one that you would find in solvers. Like you don't donk that flop. And he
Mhm.
doesn't fit the mold. He's kind of tight here. Just 21 hands, but he doesn't really fit the mold of, the typical player on ignition that donks flops, with
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
a highly checked flop.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. Last one. For me anyway, and then anyone else jump in. Another ace queen. Let's see if there's anything interesting about this. Okay, cut off big blind. All right, we got a short stack, broken stack.
All right. Let's try to be all in by the river if he lets us.
Only 11 hands and very, very active in 11 hands.
Yeah.
All right. We know that this is going to be c-bet, probably range.
Mm-hmm.
What size do we like?
Let's see. If we start with small, so if we go 2 and he calls, it goes to 9. If we then polarize against his ace and we go 9, that'll be 9, 18, 27 in the pot. So we don't easily get to all in on 40 big blinds with a small start. So with that,
Here's what I do. I, s- I subtract the what's in the pot by what had the villain has.
right,
So that would be like
36 left.
37.
Yeah,
And then
37.
I divide that by 3. So let's say that's 36. Divide by
Right.
3 is 12.
12, 13, yeah.
So a bet of 12 will get it all in with the next bet. So that means the bet before, we have to set it up so you can bet 12 to get them all in.
On the turn.
So, right. So we need to get at least 12 in the pot right now.
Right, okay, yeah.
So if we bet like
3.5 is a great.
3, or 4, then we can bet 12 and then we can get it all in.
Okay,
So bet 3 here, bet 4 or 3 or three
Yeah.
and a half. Bet 3.5 and then it'll get, and then bet 12 and then we can get it all in. Does that make sense?
yep, that makes total
So
sense.
the rule
Yes.
is subtract the pot from what the villain has, divide by 3, and that's how much you need to get it all in.
That's the sizes of the bet that the turn bet needs to be.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then do the same, right?
Yeah.
So
Here's the geo is what you're basically what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're at the table
It's how it's his quick calculation of geo.
and you haven't memorized the chart, subtract what's in the pot from the villain's stack and then divide by 3.
And so 8x, this is, so 8x, it's an 80%. So this is an 8-1, so it's about an 80% pot bet. Yeah. And that's what,
Yeah.
and that's,
Does that make sense? Like,
Yep.
I do, that's what I do rather than
Yeah.
use the
I
chart.
haven't checked to see if the math works. Your
No,
algorithm
the
makes,
math works. Like I can show you the math
oh,
works.
then great. Yeah. I
Yeah, we
believe
believe you.
that's gonna be my shorthand.
Okay, so I know that this flop, this position, in if we were to run this, you're going to find this is an overbet type situation. Like you can be 125 this with almost your entire range, and almost at full frequency.
Oh, really? I thought it tended towards big bet, but I didn't know it was a full over bet.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so. The only thing that I was questioning was, does the shorter stack mitigate some of that? And I don't know that.
I think it does because the overbet is to try to accomplish with the hands that want it, what I was saying. And the 875-80 does accomplish it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which we saw. We saw the 3E gets you.
Yeah.
Now, if we wanted to make this a 2-street game, then yeah, then we can go 150, B155 and get it in on the turn.
Right.
Right. And I did. I chose the overbet size.
Okay.
We got a fold right away. But I was also considering, when he does have his his ace X and a
Mhm.
player that's just like this,
Yeah.
they're just never going to fold. They're just,
Right. They're not folding an ace.
yeah. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that they folded a 5. Um,
They probably don't fold the 5-2, but but you're not always targeting that.
yeah, and I am curious if we confirm if my gut was right. If we get this ace, it was ace king rainbow, yeah, ace king rainbow, ace king 5 rainbow. Big blind check range, and of course this is at 100 big blind stacks.
Right.
Yeah, it's just all over the place. It's big bet like B1.
Well, it's not a range bet board. It's not a range bet board.
No, not range bet. No.
Right.
Throughout the entire range, though.
Right. But when we bet, it loves the overbet.
And I know that, and I remember that ace queen and these bigger aces are great for it because they just don't, in the big blind, when they just call and not 3-bet, they are going to have all these other aces and
Right.
king.
Yeah. So I think that you can take this, and then because it's a half that he has half the stack, you can take this logic and move the 6.9s to 4.1s for the same reason. I think they do the work that you wanted.
And I don't think.
Oh, we have a stack. We have a stack thing. I haven't played with this at all.
50. The raise size is a little different. It's only 2.2 instead of 2.5. Let's see if it still likes.
I love
large-
that you have this tool. I love that you have this.
Oh yeah. Very similar.
Yeah, it still likes the 120. It still likes the 125. Mostly. But let's see. But it does more, it now does more of the 76% than it did before.
15.9 versus 14.7.
36 and 14, and now, and it's so 36 and 15 compared to, let's see this one.
compared to 24
25
and
and
16.
16. 25 and 16.
So there's more 50%. There's more B50s in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, B50s twice as often.
Yeah. So it pushes it down.
Yep. Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. That's your last hand?
I mean, I have more, but I want to make
Okay,
sure
that was
others
last
get
one.
in.
Okay. Yeah. Does anybody else have a hand? If not, we're going to be done. But if anybody else has a hand they want to do, we'll do it. And nope. Okay. So next week, let me do stop recording. Anybody who's watching on YouTube, get a life.